coming along today to the Making Media on Your Own Terms panel discussion about race and navigating the industry as a person of colour. As was mostly mentioned, my name is Jenna. I'm one third of the BME show here on Leeds Student Radio. I also host my own show, which is broadcast in Australia on Sin FM, where I co-created Melbourne's first ever BME show on my year abroad. So yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you to Leeds Student Radio, LSTV and the Gryphon for putting on this event and creating a platform for us to talk about diversity, because I'm sure you all agree it's very, very important. Thank you so much to the lovely guests for coming along. If we could just start at the end, and if you could introduce yourselves, say what you do, and sort of talk about your journey getting here. That'd be fabulous. Let's start with you.
I'm Luke. I'm the editor of a magazine called Between Borders. I was at Leeds for 5 years in 2013, and it was in the time here that we kind of realised we'd gone through, towards the end of our time at uni, we'd gone through Brexit, we'd gone through Trump, and it was kind of seeing these things that was like identity politics is kind of really being harnessed exclusively by the right. And we kind of always wanted to foster a discussion about Britishness and British identity, but that was focused around inclusivity rather than exclusivity.
Hi, I'm Jaguar. I also went to Leeds and did LSR, and it was a huge part of like making me, I feel. I did an English degree, but I feel like I did a radio degree because I spent more time doing LSR. Now I'm a DJ and a broadcaster on BBC Introducing and represent radio. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
Jaguar is my kindred spirit. Hi, my name is Mo. I also went to, wait, let me take this off, I hate this stand, sorry. Go Mo. So I also went to Leeds from 2012 to 2016. LSR is my life, remains even after I graduated. And I am in much esteemed company like Jaguar, Helena, who was on the earlier panel. And now I'm a DJ, broadcaster on Represent and Melodic Distraction in Liverpool, and if you ever hear the annoying kind of Scouts kind of knock, I am your telly on Channel 4. I'm the guy that leads up into the programme. So.
Hey everyone, my name is Indrika Anika. I'm a director and a DOP, director of photography, and I'm working with the BFI at the minute and BBC Films. And we're filming something on Friday, so if anyone knows where to get a prosthetic baby bump, please let me know. But yeah, really looking forward to having any questions from you. Thanks a lot.
Hi again, I'm Concha. I'm creating Gryphon, and a bit about my journey is that I like making stories which are normally visible. And yeah, pretty much.
Perfect, thank you all so much. If you could just speak a bit more about why you think diversity in the media industry is so important and kind of how it's affected you throughout your journey, to expand a bit more. Starting with you again, Luke. Sorry, I'm targeting you, but we'll spread out a bit more. We might as well go on.
I think for us, our kind of vision was always, it felt quite layered, and it was like we always wanted to talk about something that especially is reserved not normally for people of colour in the UK. We wanted to talk about Britishness and what it meant to be British. And that is kind of, it feels like something that isn't necessarily accessible to explore at the moment through current mainstream media titles. I mean, you're not seeing a kind of representation, you're not seeing it being explored. So, I mean, for us, it was like the cornerstone of everything we did. We felt like we had to be diverse to be practicing what we were trying to preach, which was that we were trying to foster a discussion around British identity that was as diverse as it is today. Yeah, I just feel like everyone needs to keep continually pushing to push the barriers around what it means to have borders around identities and stuff, and for us that's always been what we're trying to do. I mean, I think now more than ever we need to continue to push for more diverse voices in media. Yeah, it just seems so integral now more than ever.
Yeah. Do you think it's important as well to have that kind of representation behind, in terms of like the production, in terms of the people who are actually generating what's being said, rather than just the people who we see as like visually kind of thing?
Yeah, and it's so important that there are dialogue and discourses around that, because otherwise you're never going to know that that's there. And I think the more people that we have working from not just the top down but from the bottom up within organisations, then we'll start to see systemic change. If we see people able to actually be represented, and that's obviously easy because that's the first thing you see when you look at a TV programme, you look at a magazine, you look at newspapers, the faces that see. If you're understanding that there's a relationship behind that that engages those people, that engages those audiences, that isn't just tokenistic, that's what's important.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think diversity is super important, like, in everything really. I think for me personally, like, what I do in terms of DJ and broadcasting, like, one of my personal missions is just to make the world like a more diverse place, like either being mixed race, being LGBT, being a woman. Like for me, it's frustrating when you look at, say, a DJ lineup or even like a TV program or whatever, and it's just all looks the same. And I think I want to be, like he said, like I want to be one of those people like breaking down those boundaries and inspiring change, you know, giving sort of a new generation of people someone to look up to and making them realise that they can do whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter if they don't have to be, you don't have to look a certain way or be a certain way. So yeah, it's sort of a really personal thing for me. But I think it's so important. I think this panel, I think this whole day that LSR and LSTV and the Gryphon have organised is really cool, and I think doing things like this is one of the ways we can inspire change, for sure.
You mentioned there about being mixed race. I just kind of want to ask you as well, how do you find that kind of label? Because personally, I've often felt quite out of place being mixed race, because lots of people want you to be one thing or want you to be the other thing. How do you navigate other people trying to find your identity for you within the industry?
I mean, that could be a whole other panel, to be honest with you. Yeah, I find it really fascinating, because I identify as mixed race as well. I think it is weird because so I'm half black and I'm half white, and that, I just find that so interesting because it's like two different worlds colliding, but also I feel like it shouldn't be a big thing, but some people want to make it a big thing, some people don't. I'm sort of exploring both sides of it as I get older in different terms of, like, even my mum's Ghanaian, so I've been going to Ghana, going again next week for the second time ever, and even going to Ghana for the first time last year was like crazy, because I like met all these relatives and experienced all these things I've never experienced before, but that's like half of my genetics. So yeah, it's really fascinating. I think even if you look at Britain though, like now, like mixed race is like a really growing like ethnicity group in Britain, which again is really fascinating. I think really cool as well, because I think it sort of shows the sort of everyone's coming together, and it's, I don't know, I think it's an interesting and exciting time.
Yeah, I think for me it's an interesting one because, like, if my life was an album, it would be called Ambiguously Brown. So I think I've been called everything and everyone from everywhere. So like I definitely can't like share Jaguar's struggles to the T. But what I can say is that being Egyptian, growing up all over the UK, in like up until this point now, that I've never been fixed anywhere. And even when I go back to Egypt, there's this constant question of like where I'm from. Even here, there's that same question. So for me, and it's like, I know you wanted to avoid doom and gloom, but I'm a melancholic guy, so I'm going to go there. The concept of home can only really be found for some of us who don't have like homes, as it were, like fixed places in what we do. So I think we take great pride as creatives that we are what we do, and we live through it in each and every moment that we're breathing. So for me, that needs to be reflected, whether it is on screen or very much like you said, behind the scenes, because yeah, like there's been times when I've been working in places and the people who are behind the scenes working for the content that's going out are completely different race to the other people, but they don't understand the nuances of the people who are on the mic, for instance. So it makes it this really confusing like melange of like, how am I going to pitch to you what Eid is about, and you don't even know what Islam is. Like, it makes no sense to me. But diversity, I think, is really key, because we're living in an age where beyond the capital cities of the world, each and every place, I think mixed race people are some of the most like wonderful people, because they have the most intriguing and like fascinating stories about their like family life. Like, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear like what it was like for you. Like, was your house like the Kashmiri embassy, but then as soon as you step outside, all you're talking in is like Swahili? Like, I want to hear that. And also that's where we're going as well. Like, being ambiguously brown is a great thing, and there is no barrier to that anymore. And that needs to be reflected in all strands of the media, I think.
That rung true. what you just said about having to kind of sell your idea to people that don't get it. And I have a few friends who are scriptwriters, and the absolute backlash that I hear from a boardroom of white men usually, and having to sell the idea of, for instance, identity politics if there's a young black person who's been adopted by white parents, and what kind of contrast in upbringing that would be if they were growing up in a black area. That kind of thing of making it relevant to them sometimes can take away from what you want it to be. I think it's so important to have diversity behind the screen, especially as a female director, black female director. It's so important that there is that diversity behind them, because you can tell the story in a way that makes sense to you and your community, that often is left by the wayside if it's not a diverse scriptwriting group or not a diverse production crew. And I've just got I've got a lot of stories of faux pas that wouldn't have happened if there was a diverse group of people. Alright, well.
Pepsi advert, maybe.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, okay, so there's a few. But one that always really comes to mind is BBC. When I was a junior student researcher. And we were looking for cast, and there was a black family that we were trying to cast for this thing called Totally Saturday, an entertainment show that got cancelled really quick. And one of the producers told a story about how they were, I think they were in Atlanta in America, and the story they were telling was how scary it was to go into a corner shop and be surrounded by black people. And I was like, oh, so what happened there? What was really scary? What happened? Oh no, there was just lots of black people there. I was like, Jesus! And we were casting a black family. I was like, right, gotta get out. But yeah.
People need to get out, like,
yeah, get out.
For me, like what you said about the idea of not having a home and then our work becomes a home, that really resonates with me, especially like with club spaces. So I run like the planning team. And it's a no camera policy, and for me, like being able to go somewhere and know that you're never going to be recorded and like almost like surveilled on is like a really important aspect. But just diversity in the sense of like people can come there in any form they want to be, and can leave knowing that they have complete autonomy and control over that. And then also with racism, I'm always looking at diversity in a practical sense. So how am I making the information accessible? How am I making people digest the information? How am I going to orchestrate these workshops to make sure the communication is efficient? So I feel like as well as diversity in the sense of ethnicities, it also has to be like practical and has to stimulate some sort of conversation. So yeah, that's why I think diversity is important.
You know what the problem is that we aren't at an ideal situation yet, because we've got people like myself who, when I go to like a voiceover session, for instance, I'm still being given KFC adverts, and it's like, please Lord, like, have you even asked me who I am? Because they hear your voice, they go, oh, this guy, you've got quite well like intonation, like whatever, like you're quite well spoken, and then they see me and they go, oh, so you really must be into Afro, eh? I'm like, do you guys not know that I was the kid sitting there listening to Pete Tong's mixtape in the 90s? Like, I'm not interested in Afro-wave, so we're not at that point yet where it's like truly representative of all our interests.
Yeah. Well, my next question is actually for you and Jacob. You mentioned about the BBC and sort of big industry corporations. Some of these names are quite daunting for people of colour, because unfortunately they are still very white spaces. Like, how have you kind of managed to hold on to in those situations where you're being put in front of people who want you to do certain things that you don't want to do, and how have you kind of navigated those white spaces?
Well, I think it depends, like the BBC as a whole, I don't think you can just sort of generalise, because it depends, like for both of us, our initial experiences with the BBC were with Radio 1, Amazon Extra and Asian Network. And for, I don't know about you, but for me personally, like, so we both did internships, we did it about 5 years ago. And I thought that was a really amazing space, like there were loads of I don't know, this is the time when like our AFOs started doing the morning show on Radio 1, obviously One Extra is a station representing people of colour. And for me, I felt it was like a really cool place to work and it actually opened my eyes to a lot of things. But I will say, now I do a BBC introducing show which is on BBC Three Counties, which is a local radio station in the Hertfordshire area. And local radio does seem to be not very diverse, really. Again, I'm generalising, some shows are, but across the board, if you looked at a lot of schedules, it does seem to be like a lot of white, straight men. But there are, so like, I think in local radio it can be a bit frustrating, I feel, to sort of get across like diversity, but also I think, I don't know, local radio is in a weird place, and also it's like at an older demographic, and it's sort of a weird place, I don't know. But I think there are some amazing parts of the BBC that I've really resonated with and found amazing opportunities with. Like even Radio 1 Extra, I did a documentary earlier this year on LGBT clubbing spaces on Radio 1 Extra. Like they were really keen to like hear sort of about clubbing from that perspective. And that was really cool.
Yeah. So would your advice be sort of to like not be put off by big issues, because like you say, you can find areas that are really, really good, and hopefully we'll see things being a lot more progressive anyway, so these spaces shouldn't be so frightening, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think like in my experience, just because like I am just a walking question mark, I do have to kind of remind people that I'm Arab, right? And like amongst a lot of the other ethnicities in this wonderful place that you know, a lot of people call home, the United Kingdom, like there's so many ethnic minorities out there, but I feel like Arabic in the media just doesn't exist for a lot of us. Like there's no people that I can really relate to. So when I'm in those spaces, I'm making sure that I'm like, look, like I'm Arab. I still have a connection with the Middle East. I'm a Spanish graduate. We can tie these things together. Like don't just pigeonhole me and put me on, you know, working on DJ Target's show just because I have a shaved head. Like please think a bit more. Like like you know, those conversations are difficult to have when you're starting out because like you know, if you were here earlier and you heard Helen talking, when you do enter the media and you enter these big organisations, obviously you will take anything you can get. You'll go, oh, what, you want me to wake up at like 2 a.m. and work until 2 a.m. the next day? Oh, yes, finally! But like, you don't need to do that because you should know what it is that you represent and what it is that you do. And you know, like you said, if you can't have an active input in the product, the final product that you're making, then what's the point?
Thank you for that. Moving to the kind of journalism and the two magazines that you two both put together, we often hear the phrase "see it, be it," and the idea that when you see something, it's a lot easier for you to go into that industry and to step into that. Looking at both Racine and Between Borders, obviously there's not really much like that. Obviously we have Galden, which is a fantastic publication, but when you guys really created your publications, what kind of barriers did you face? What inspiration did you use, considering we don't have many magazines like the two put together?
Yeah, inspiration, I guess. Galden definitely popped up really straight away for us, and it was. I went to a panel talk with Liv, talking and just hearing her talk so passionately about something when I was in second year at university. I was like, this is something that really resonates within me, but I want to find a way to make this kind of personal to me and my experiences. And for me, my experiences have always been that I grew up in rural Buckinghamshire, so I've grown up in a village where we were the only family that weren't white, and I've been kind of used to walking into a pub and having people's eyes trapped to the back of my head without, you know, that's just like sad. But that's home for me, so it's like, that's been ingrained in me from the start. So for me, we always wanted to take on this idea of Britishness, which is something that I think instantly brings up kind of negative connotations in people's heads when you say it, and try and twist that on its head by showing how diverse the creative field in the UK at the moment is. And by continually showing that to people, see it, be it, it's so true, because if we can continually show people just how diverse the creative scene is in the UK right now, that's going to encourage more people to want to get involved in it. So it feels like it's like a perpetual cycle we're trying to initiate.
Inspiration-wise, for me, was a lot, like when I first came to uni, there was like a lot of interesting discussions going on. I was attending, especially Jodie, who's based at uni. She did this amazing panel called Surviving Birth, but anyway, I'm pretty sure it was amazing. And that was like a lot of those sort of discussions around uni, as well as going to uni. Like my university is extremely white in the sense that like the diversity ratio is diabolical. So I think inspiration, like, it comes from a lot of different directions from where I felt like I was the other than the invisible and wanting to become visible, and then seeing other people doing that really funneled my work. And then subcultures like acid house and punk really resonates a lot with my own work, and just having that attitude of just getting up and doing it and not really caring what other people think and letting yourself be heard. And I think it's also important that you can be stuff you don't necessarily see out there. So I did really, like Geldem and other magazines alike, they're all amazing magazines, but I didn't necessarily see a lot of, like, what's it like being black and queer and male. So I wanted to funnel that sort of conversation through and make it inclusive as possible. And then, as well as like Pussy Palace, just doing things really creatively, and also having like a distinct attitude with it. Yeah, really fun as I work, because when you see sort of the connections and the stories and how you've brought people together and how other projects form off that, it really just, what's the word? It keeps you going a lot.
Perfect. Derek, I wanted to talk to you about film and talk to you about the portrayal of the Black British narrative, because I feel like we've seen a lot of success through the likes of David Duvernay and Steve McQueen. But we don't really have the Black British story being told anywhere, and where it is, this week we've seen the backlash of the likes of Blue Story. And I just kind of wanted to ask you, how do you navigate wanting to put things out that aren't necessarily comfortable for other people, but are important to your own narrative, and important for you to get out, to tell your story?
Yeah, I think because film and television is such a hard industry to get into, and such an industry that you'll be working such long hours and there's so much dedication that goes into it, really you should only do stuff that you really, really want to do. In that, even when I was working on shows that I didn't even watch, I'd always have a back burner of creative projects going that would keep me mentally sane, basically. I think regarding the Black British narrative, there is loads of stuff being created, but there's not a big budget behind it. So this year I've worked on, I think, 4 short films that are all about Black British people. They're all kind of coming of age stories that we don't really have. There's lots of queer stories, there's lots of kind of that clash between heritages and backgrounds, but they're all short films. So kind of trying to convince people, you have to have a body of work basically, a body of work, short films, high quality, to be able to persuade people with the money basically to fund your project. There are so many schemes though that can offer you pots of money. If anyone who's doing film, trying to get short film, speak to me, there's so many that I know of. And at the minute, diversity, I don't know how long it'll last, but diversity is really something they're pushing for more than they did when I was at uni. So I'm 30 and I went to University of Westminster, I started in 2008, and a lot of these schemes weren't around really, but there is a lot of them in it. But take the money, get the money. The schemes are out there. So yeah.
I've got another question for all of you now. The latest McPherson report revealed that companies in the top quartile of racial and ethnic diversity are 35% more likely to have financial returns than their counterparts in the industry. Yet, we are still seeing these industries and these companies reluctant to hire people of colour. Why do you think that might be?
There's a really interesting thing that I think comes from big companies at the moment, and that we were invited out to Nuremberg, to Adidas headquarters, to be involved around the talk around diversity there. And it's so interesting to see that this is such a big multinational player that obviously everybody knows. It's like one of the leading sports brands. And you're sat here in a room giving a talk about diversity to a room full of 50-year-old German white men. So it's like there's just a big disconnect between doing something that you think is on trend and doing something that you think resonates with people for them to know that you're doing it, and then actually turning it into practice and actually making a change systemically within the institution of your organisation. And I think until that actually starts to conscientiously change across the board, it's just cheap talk, isn't it? A bit negative, sorry. Sorry, a bit of a rant.
I think it comes down to skill sets as well, which comes down to education of like, you know, big companies. For example, we have a boardroom full of 50-year-old white men. They've mostly all gone to private schools as well as gone to university. And if we look at, you know, just simple statistics, for example, this uni, if you're of colour, you're more likely to get a 2-1 than you are at first. And like, what are the university bodies actually doing about it? Because this is 2019, and for me, I'm just like, I just find it really interesting that, you know, we've all been screaming for diversity for so long, and you've been telling us, or just putting in the images, that you are diverse. But it's like, where's actually the practicality? And I do understand that things do take time, but we're also running out of time, because I think it's interesting when we do see sort of like these companies, which majority of them are cis white males, because what that then does is that it limits economic gain for other classes as well as other classes and races, and that just perpetuates, you know, colonial power in a sense. That's post-colonial power. So yeah, it's like allowing people to have the skill sets and giving accessibility for that, so then people can make their own businesses, become these big industry bosses, and then, what you call it, and that, in turn, that will lift up other people. So, yeah.
Anyone else got anything to add at all?
Yeah, I just think that there's certain organisations that, I'm not sure if it's as much of a theory or is it just me being a pessimistic post-25-year-old, but I think that being an ethnic minority at the moment, like, we are being super tokenised more than ever because we are the trend. Like, when they see us, they go, beyond the where you're from, it's like, oh, maybe their interests are like on trend because, you know, Swansea's in the top 40, so surely they must be doing something. I think there's definitely a certain aspect of that within big organisations. There's some organisations like the BBC that work very fairly as well, and like they do, like again, was mentioned in earlier talk, like they definitely do try more than ever now to like equalise what is happening behind the scenes, so that there are people representing the cultures that are being projected on air at radio and One Extra Nation Network anyway. But then there's smaller organisations like Guapmag, for instance, like a publication was founded in London and still runs now. Like their whole team is pushing black culture. All the team is black, is of black origin, and also the Ibrahim. I think he got funding from quite a big company as well. I think, yeah. So like they're looking to obviously tap into our culture, but there are publications at the same time that stand up for themselves, like Ibrahim's in the scope of London, where people do take the biggest piss out of all of them in the whole of the UK. And he's standing his own ground, because he's like, no, I'll take the bag, but like, I'm going to work with it, not you. So.
What I found is that people, maybe all of us actually, we sometimes have this fear or this, I've noticed when I've gone into certain sets where I'm the only black person, there's this kind of, ooh, this is different, it's a bit uncomfortable. And people like to be comfortable, we all like to be comfortable, we all like to be able to maybe not think about what we say, I guess, like we do with our closer friends and family. And regarding funding, people fund stories they can relate to. If everyone on the application process is a certain demographic, certain stories will resonate with them. So not only do we have to have diversity behind the camera, in front of the camera, you just need it throughout the whole process. And I think that's something, like you said, there are schemes and stuff like that, but you have to dig so hard to find these schemes. I don't know if there's a way to promote things better, or because I've been in the industry quite a bit, and there's still things that I'm finding out about now that have been around for decades. And yes, for instance, as a director of photography, getting women into that role is so tricky in that it's still seen as such a male-dominated role in the industry, which it is. So those are the kind of things that I'm pushing for, more women in those technical roles.
Do you want to
Sorry, I'm talking a lot. Clearly have too much knowledge. Just off the back of that, there is one scheme if you're into going into like audio production. It's called Multi-Track Fellowship. It's sponsored by NTS and a whole host of other people. So if you're into that route and want to come join our world of audio, then like that's open there for you. So
you mentioned tokenism earlier, Mo, and some of the audience may have attended the Fame Creative Week panel with Tolly T, who spoke about the idea of black privilege. And I kind of wanted to see what you guys' thoughts were on, navigating tokenism and whether you should accept these kind of roles. It's kind of like a hard one to be in because obviously you want the opportunity, but if you feel like you are being tokenized, does that kind of challenge you, or do you think that we should accept this notion of black privilege potentially?
I feel like, looking back, I feel like there are probably some opportunities I've got because of being mixed race, I feel, and I feel like, as you say, when there's like being diverse on trend or whatever, like personally, if there's an opportunity, like I think just go for it, like why wouldn't you? I understand what that might mean, but if you are able to get into that position, being who you are, if you're a person of colour or whatever you are, if you get to a position, then you can like thrive and do well, and then you can sort of pave the way, and then you can sort of inspire change that way. But it's a weird one. But I personally would go for it. Like I unashamedly take the opportunity personally.
Can I say, people have been doing this for centuries. Nepotism is a real thing in media. Lots of people in marginalised communities don't have that uncle or auntie or whatever who's a producer. So these schemes that are out there that might be for only a certain demographic, even that is never going to be the same. So don't ever think that, oh, this is something that should take, absolutely take it. What I would say is bear in mind your end goal. Is this something that can help you get to your end goal? People will use you in certain ways. But will it help you get to the point that you want to be in your career? And is it a trajectory that's going up or kind of taken away from what you want to do?
I guess, I'm the same. I take any opportunity given to me. But I've had two situations where I've taken one, I knew like I was just like taking like the museum in this exhibition. And I just remember the gallery owner on the phone just like literally talked to me. I've never been talked like that before, ever, by anybody I've worked with. I'm not going to name and shame her because I'm not a savage. But yeah, I'm kind of happy the experience happened because now I know what I need to have in check if something like that comes again. So I guess you do learn from it. But it's kind of annoying that we have to endure this when we already know that you're only choosing me, so you look good. But then at least I get a little bit of publicity out of this. And then another incident was I was going to do this exhibition with this venue, and then I was hearing stories that they didn't necessarily treat their staff of colour that well, so then I just pulled out. So I guess like you just have to kind of act in the context of the situation basically, I think is wise. But yeah, no, it's like, for example, big companies take the money. Do you know what I mean? Go away.
Definitely. We mentioned the term BAME there. I know that's quite a contentious kind of phrase, and also it's quite an umbrella term and it covers a lot of different ethnicities. I kind of wanted to ask you guys, how do we make sure that every kind of background is reflected under that term, that we don't just get people thinking, okay, like, that's great for my quota if I've got a black person, but what about all the other kind of identities that come under that? How do we make sure they're represented as well?
I think, just to be quick on this in my aspect, I think it's actually teaching the people who don't quite know what BAME is, because I find, I had a upbringing like you, I live in a majority white area. Anyone that is beyond the shade of white is black.
Yeah.
Right? Which is the most stressful situation, because I walk into school and they go, oh, you're right, since you stride. Oh, you're right, you said, I look anything like him. So like, teach the people first what it includes, so then they can actually be more conscious when it comes to talking to us. Because I'm not saying that I negated it. I wasn't like, oh, I don't want to be that. Like cool. That, like, if that's what you classify me as, that's what you classify me as. But like, at least know when you talk to me that like, there's something there you go.
Thank you. No, that's fine. I said to you guys before, I didn't want to make it too much doom and gloom. I wanted to talk about some of the positive things that we get to do as people of colour in the industry as well. And I wanted to ask you about, some of your greatest times in this industry, being able to celebrate your culture anytime, if you have. And sort of like the idea, do we glorify struggle too much? Like, do we think that we have to struggle in order to come up? I just kind of like to talk about, I want to make things a bit lighter, a bit nicer, if we can encourage people to get into the industry and talk about positive times where we really feel like we've been able to make an impact, we've been able to reflect on our culture in like a nice way, rather than just, feel tokenized or whatever. Some of the fantastic opportunities that are available to celebrate our culture, rather than just always think about the struggle.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
For me, sort of like in the positive light, I guess it's necessary to talk about struggles in all of their different forms, because I think that almost allows for the positive things to come, because then people can reflect on that, and then when you start hearing, like, you've stimulated these conversations and like people are becoming a bit more conscious, then to me that's like a positive aspect out of talking about things which are like basically about struggle. So yeah, I guess in that sense, and then it's just quite sick seeing like bringing people together of completely different walks of life, and facilitating that. I think it's like a really positive thing, because like, if you're talking about race in any sort of area, there's always going to be some sort of comment which can be interpreted as like talking about something which is struggling related. But even so, it's just like, it's important that we do, because from that it does stimulate other positive things, because it's a domino effect, really, isn't it?
I think for me, this year I've been able to work on so many projects that I would have loved to work on throughout my whole career. And there's nothing better than when you are on set or doing whatever career you want to do with a bunch of people who are like-minded and who are just dedicated and work really hard, and it's like you have this flow. And I think that sometimes when you've had so many doors shut in your face, or you've had a certain level of struggle, those moments are just so incredible, and everyone, the atmosphere, the vibe, and just knowing that you're doing this and you're getting paid, it's like, whoa. So there are these things, and at the end, if someone wants to come up to me and ask about certain specific things, there's something called BBC Youth Creatives that gives you money. Also, Film Up North, if you're into short film, getting funded. There's lots of different schemes, but yeah, persevere basically, because it's always the best feeling ever.
So looking more towards the future now, and trying to inspire everybody in the audience, where do you guys see racial inclusivity and diversity within the industry heading, and what kind of major pieces of advice would you want to throw out there?
Well, I like to think that we are heading to a more diverse place in general, like not just in race, but like across the board. I hope that's what I'm trying to put across, and I think that's what a lot of people are trying to do. And even if you, as you said, like diversity is that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I think we can just use that as much as we can and make sure that diversity remains in, or that diversity doesn't become like a sort of a novelty, because it's not, it's people's realities. I'm hopeful for the future, personally. I feel like, again, everyone in this room has the power to help make the world a place we want to live in. And if that's making diverse programs, or even just being you and being sick and progressing and being amazing and showing people that people who look different can do really well, I think that's a really good way to go about it.
I think as well for me, there's I just always think that in the last 50 years we've come so far, and if you look back in that relatively short space of time to see how far we've come along in terms of inclusivity, acceptance, diversity across the board, it's only positive moving forward. You kind of feel like we all come from a more progressive generation than the one that we left behind. So in another 50 years time, I'm hopeful that things are just going to be even better, hopefully.
Yeah, I think personally through there's something like very poignant that you said, and it's that celebrating through the struggle. So I think that we collectively, as people of ethnic minority, like we have had to struggle to get to places, and at the same time it should be celebrated. But it's only going to get more, you know, as we have kids, our friends have kids, and whatever. Like there's no borders in the world anymore. So like in that essence as well, ethnicity is going to start disappearing, right? Which means that hopefully, like you said, in the next 50 years, we're going to be in this position where you have the most diverse, engaging programs and content and people making them as well, because they can relate to all of those stories and their friends' stories, because, you know, you end up growing up in neighbourhoods, hopefully one day, that like everyone's from everywhere. And it's kind of the South London's the best example, you know, you've got white people rolling around, but they're intrinsically ingrained in Caribbean culture. That still blows my mind. It's a wonderful thing, and like 50 years time, it should be the same thing with everyone else's, I think. So it's a positive outlook, I think.
I know that you're a really great advocate of making sure that we have more support outside of London, and you mentioned South London there. I want to ask you guys, how do you think that we can make sure that minorities are protected in more rural areas, like that more light is shed on the north, in places like Leeds and up here? How do we make sure that there are more opportunities, not just in London for people of colour, but also in areas where there aren't that many people of colour?
Leeds is a funny one, because Leeds is really, like as a city, it's extremely diverse. But it's only the universities and like the big companies who have money, which may aren't really as diverse in the sense. Sorry, just repeat the first part. I just lost train of thought.
Getting support for people of colour outside of London. So we've mentioned a lot of these fantastic schemes that places are putting together, which are unfortunately in London. How do we make sure, if you don't have that kind of ability to move to London or to work in London, how do we make sure we get that same kind of energy up north?
Yeah. So if Gryphon started as a paid project with Wolf Chambers, and then from that, and that started the beginning of last year, and I just ran with it and just kept on pushing for it. But the fact that another venue gave me the opportunity and was like, we're going to pay for everything, we just want you to just make it, that was such a privilege. So like if more, Wolf Chambers is a venue, do you know what I mean? It's not like a big establishment, but like if other venues take the same sort of mind of just like putting, £300 in a kitty and giving it to somebody who's passionate and letting them create these platforms, that's like a really important way to like create culture and also to sustain it. So yeah, it's just like companies and like independent businesses or whatever. It's just, they kind of need to hone in on just like the expression and like people's attitude and like people wanting to do better and wanting to make themselves visible, hone in on that and like support that. Because it's, again, it's a domino effect, because I didn't think racing was going to continue this far, and got big plans for it, so watch out.
Can I add, for mentioning Leeds, there was a few years ago there was an amazing campaign this fabulous person called Mel's put on called Why Is My Curriculum White? Did anyone hear about that? Yeah. Watching Mel sort of, ask these questions about why a certain syllabus is so whitewashed essentially, and it was really, I remember that sort of all happening when I was in my second year here, and that was really eye-opening for me. It asked a lot of questions that I generally hadn't considered before, and I feel like universities are a really great space to ask these questions. They don't have to be in London, they can be wherever. I think there's enough people at universities sort of band together and ask questions, that's what students are meant to do. I feel like stuff like that genuinely has such an impact on so many people. I think asking questions, I think doing panels like this, doing events, I think there's so much that can be done to break down borders, break down borders and barriers. I think it's even coming back here today, I was just saying to you, so I feel so inspired being back at a uni, so I feel like this is such an exciting place. There's so much you can do to make change.
Yeah, I think no offense, but on a national scale, the story of South London has been told.
Yes.
It's like we don't need it anymore. I'm talking from a music aspect, you know. The music scene's kind of saturated with that. But like Jackie said, coming up here to such a thriving place, obviously nowhere's perfect, and the university does have its issues with getting ethnic minorities. I experienced that even like on my own course. Like, I was studying my own language, and I was like, where are my people? Whether it's here or Manchester or Newcastle, we're everywhere. Whether we are, stuck in the Wirral, where there's like 2 people, or whether we are in, rural Buckinghamshire stuff, there's ways of doing it on a ground level that I don't think you can in the capital, because you already face such a high price point as a barrier to entry. No one wants to do it, whereas like you see coming back here, like it is inspiring, it's really collaborative. People should take advantage of that collaboration and tell those stories that haven't been told yet. Because I can guarantee you the experience of someone who lives in Chapel Island is going to be completely different to someone who lives in Paddy. So,
yeah, this is something we're pushing for at the moment in the kind of next stage of what we're doing, because we still are based in rural Buckinghamshire, so it's like we're a relatively commutable distance to London, but it's just not like feasible to get in there. So for us, the next stage in our development is kind of finding a space that we can use as an open space full of resources for young kids of colour to come in and just experiment with different things. So for us, we want to get in kids between like 16 and 20 years old who are going through those stages of wanting to experiment with different creative fields and giving them the opportunity to do it if they don't have the resources to do it, if they don't have the financial backing to do it. And I think it's socially, you touched on it then, it's like there's opportunities in these smaller places to just do it because like the resources, the rent isn't that high, and there's just not the kind of visibility to do it. So there's just, I think in small satellite towns as well as big cities, the opportunities there. It's just taking it on and keeping that fight going, I guess.
I also want to chat to you, Luke, about the fact that the Student Borders obviously tries to redefine the term British and what it means to be British, because as we are seeing, it means very different things to different people, and it includes so many different walks of life. I wanted to ask you, where do you draw the line between always having to educate other people about being like BAME and about being a person of colour and being passive and sitting and waiting for change? Because obviously we need to find that balance.
It's interesting because it's a question that we always ask everyone that we interview or work with or collaborate with, and it's how do they define Britishness in the 21st century. And you always kind of get flips between people giving really negative answers, harking on about post-colonial legacies, and then you get people talking about positivity, integrity, diversity. So it's like there's like 2 sides to the same coin there, but for us, it's about broadening the spectrum beyond just BAME narratives. For us, that's really important. We're working on a first print issue at the moment that features stories from people from traveller backgrounds, from gypsy communities, from Roman communities, and it's about finding spaces where people don't have access to voices in mainstream media and giving them that platform, giving them the opportunity to talk about something that's inherent to them as their identity, but then letting them do it themselves. Because I think it's always just comes down to like letting someone breathe and letting someone have their own space to speak on their own issues. Because as someone who's expressed myself, like no one has the same experience as you, but you fit into this broad pot of experiences that everyone shares some commonalities with. So it's just finding a space and a platform to let people express themselves rather than using that as a tool to educate. It's just about enabling expression.
On that note, I think we'll open it up to questions. If anyone has a question to ask in the audience? Anyone got any burning things they'd like to add?
No holds barred, please.
Right? Anyone? No, I think so. On that note, I'll just ask another question then. I wanted to ask you guys, it's more kind of like an industry question as well. It's about working for free, because we spoke a lot about the opportunities that are available, and working for free, obviously some of the most amazing experiences and connections can come from working for free. But when you come from like a marginalised group already, and you're already a minority, it can be even more exclusionary for you. How do you make sure that you get the most, like maximum learning out of like an experience with the least detriment to your own like self-worth and self-identity, if that makes sense?
I think it's realising, like, for example, when you get a job or whatever, like just knowing what do you already know and what don't you know, like in terms of like skill sets, that this job is offering to you, and just sort of weighing up like that. If you're not going to learn anything from it, ask your check, do you know what I mean? And also like judge it on are these like DIY or like independent institutions coming to you with jobs. I've done a lot of free work, maybe too much to be honest. And like now, if anybody gets in contact with me, I'm just straight up about it. It's like I want to be paid because this is my time, this is my energy. And when you do things for free, people take a fucking piss. Like seriously, like you've just got to make sure from the get-go that they know what they're getting into and you know what you're getting into. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
I think being at university is a great time to do work experience in the industry. So when I was at uni, I remember it was me and one other girl, we had so many work experiences under our belt. And I think that, well for me it was because I knew I couldn't live in London, I was going to uni in London. I couldn't live in London, finish my course, and then start working for free. So I can't remember how many I did, but it was a lot. And then I knew I had a job, as soon as I left uni I had a job to go into. People still ask me to do stuff for free. It depends if it's something that I'm passionate about or it's a cause. I would never do anything for like a business or organisation for free unless it's something super close to my heart. Things just really take time and you don't know what's going to be around the corner, and if you're doing stuff for free, it kind of holds you back from doing other stuff. But yeah, people take the piss, they really do. They'll say they want this, you'll do it for free and then they'll want this, so just be careful.
Yeah, I think working for free, like it goes naturally in everything that all of us do up here on stage, requires long hours of very little sleep, right? So I think working in an aspect of itself anyway goes beyond just the work because it does affect your personal life. And I think you have to be very conscious on what you say, like you said, you need to be doing something that you genuinely want to input because you think you're going to get something back from it. Because working for free, you already feel like you're a throwaway. Like I did a 5-week unpaid internship in London, lived in a hostel for 5 weeks, and the whole experience felt very throwaway. But it's only added even further when you come from a home like I do, or any of us might do, where like as soon as I step in through the door, like it's a completely different culture, right? Where that doesn't exist. So I want to relate to those people, but they weren't there with me for 5 weeks. So you're even more marginalised. So if it's going to affect you like that and affect your mental health, then like completely steer clear of it. Like you shouldn't have to do it unless you genuinely think that you're going to get something of it. Because there's other in the medium of radio, there's other stations out there that have done work experience for like 3 months, 6 months unpaid, and in London, and it's ridiculous, and that really does take a knock on you. Like even at LSR level, when we were all like so wide-eyed and full of hope, and then sorry to go back to the gloom. Sorry, I'm a really sad person, as you can see. But like. We all had this expectation that we'd all be sitting with each other on exec boards in like 15 years' time and be like, okay, remember LSR. But I'd say about like only 10% of us have got that vision now because people are ostracised by that free work thing. So, yeah.
You get it a lot in journalism as well, and it's like the privilege to write for a publication should never be worth it. And it's like, I think one piece of advice I've always held true is that never intern somewhere that you actually want to work at, because if you're going to, a lot of internships aren't outpaid, but if you're going to take on an unpaid internship, they're not going to treat you well because they're not paying you a wage, there's not a contractual obligation there. So just if you're going to do free work, make sure it's for someone that you A, want to work for, and B, that it's either going to give you something back, either that stimulus in the job, you learn about something or some skills that you can take away. But yeah, your time's the most important thing in the world, you can't ever get that back.
Okay. Before we wrap up and round up, do you have anything else you would like to share, anyone at all?
Just be you.
You know what? Yeah, let's go with that. Just do you. Don't feel like you have to be a certain way or like this or like that because of what people say you should like. Or, in fact, we'll go there. Me and Mo, right, our whole lives, no. Since me and Mo have been vegan, like since LSR and stuff, like there'll be people, even though it happens now, like people will come up to you and they'll be like, oh, I've been listening to a radio show, love it, love what you play. His tune, I think, will be really good for it. So this is in reference to a Represent show, and you get this as well. I did a Saturday night Represent show, play house, techno, disco, electronic music. It's very clear that's what I play. And I've had people come up to me like in person and give me the whole love the show, blah blah blah, really cool. Here's some of my music, you'll really like it. And then genuinely, I do think this is because of how I look. People assume that I play like hip hop, Afro-wave, everything that I don't play. And then I literally get so angry when I like put in a USB or open an email, and it's just like the complete wrong genre. And often I just reply to the email that I don't play this kind of music or stuff. And it annoys me because I do think people look at you and they judge you, and I think that's wrong. And I think you should call people out on that, because it's just pointless. And also their music is not going to get played on my show. I'm sorry, but it's just not right. And it annoys me.
And I think off the back of that as well, being a person of colour, like the obstacles in your life don't stop here at university. You will have obstacles throughout your life, right? That's the gloom bit. The good bit is that like you should just take it for what it's worth, and just where you're from with pride on your chest. Like I said the same thing again, like when we were back at uni. We did this like little thing with One Extra, and they got me on stage to chat, and I was terrified. And I said, look. Me, I'm a first generation immigrant. I'm fresh off the boat from Egypt, and I'm cool with saying that. So I am going to show up to work with a corned beef sandwich, and some white guy is going to say that stinks. I'm going to let you know what, it tastes really good. So like, just take that anecdote and just live it with you, because what anyone can say really can't be that hurtful, because our food tastes better than yours.
I'd say uni, again, is the best time to make as much stuff as possible. So does everyone film, TV and radio here?
Everyone's from all sorts of just generally interested in the industry. I hope anyway.
But when I did my TV degree, I tried to make as much use as possible of the free equipment that we had. So tried to bang out a documentary, like I did quite a few, and find your couple of people that you can almost create a production team with. So when you leave uni, you have a portfolio already. That's what they want to see. Make as much stuff as possible. Use the free equipment, because it's so expensive to hire. It's so expensive, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for coming on the panel today. Thank you to everyone for coming along and listening to what the other speakers had to say. I just want to say that whenever you feel like you're not invited to sit at the table, don't be afraid to make your own table to sit at. And student media is a great place to start, as these guys said. So